Into week 14 of the fantasy football season. Here's a few running backs I look to get on the wire this week. The first guy, Tevin Coleman of the New York Jets. Tevin Coleman, the veteran over there in that Jet backfield, filling in for Michael Carter. And he was good in that week 13 ball game versus Philly with 11 carries, 58 yards, and 3 catches for 19 yards. So the last few weeks here, he hasn't done much. I'm not going to lie. Week 11 versus Miami, 5 carries, 16 yards, a catch, 2 yards. And then week 12 at Houston, though, 16 carries, 67 yards, 2 catches, 3 yards. So right here, Tevin Coleman, the last couple weeks, he's filled in pretty well, in my opinion, for Michael Carter. Jets, they got a tough matchup in week 14 versus the Saints. But right now, he's a starter. He's a guy getting 10 to 15 touches a game at least for this Jet team. And a guy to consider, especially with a young rookie quarterback in Zach Wilson. They're going to want to run the ball more and rely on Coleman. So right now, Coleman's available still right now, 59% of fantasy leagues, and he's definitely a running back I look to get on the wire this week. The next running back is Dontrell Hilliard of the Tennessee Titans. So Hilliard here, had a couple breakout games over the last few weeks. Here's Hilliard out of nowhere, where he was pretty much off the practice squad and into the Tennessee lineup, especially when Jeremy McNichols went down with the concussion. So the last few games here, filling in for McNichols. Week 11 versus Houston, 7 carries, 35 yards, 8 catches, 47 yards. And week 12 at New England, a monster game, 12 carries, 131 rush yards, a touchdown and a catch for 2 yards and a fumble loss. So Hilliard and Foreman were splitting in that game. And right here, I think that's going to be the formula for this Tennessee Titan team for the remainder of the season. We saw him cut Adrian Peterson. We saw McNichols, like I mentioned, get hurt, and who knows if he's going to be back, which he should, I think, here in week 14. But with a good matchup and a good workload over the last 2 weeks, Hilliard right now is still available in 60% of fantasy leagues, and he's definitely a running back I would give a shot on the waiver wire to this week. The next running back I look to get is Adrian Peterson of the Seattle Seahawks. So Peterson, he got decent run in his first game with Seattle in that ball game versus San Francisco 49ers. He found the end zone. I know he didn't get many yards in that one. 11 carries, 20 yards, but hey, he found the end zone. He's a big power back. And in my opinion, he still has some juice left, this Peterson. Week 10, 8 carries, 21 yards, a catch, -1 yards. And then week 11 for him, 9 carries, 40 yards, 2 catches, 4 yards. So right here, Peterson, obviously he's not going to put up big numbers, but he's still going to be a guy over there in Seattle that's going to get some opportunities, going to get some touches. Alex Collins, obviously, hey, he hasn't cut it. He was hurt. I know Travis Homer had a nice fake punt touchdown in that game, and Penny got work as well. But right here, a lot of running backs over there in Seattle. Peterson, he's a guy I would pick up but not put in my starting lineup. And right now, he's available in 85% of fantasy leagues. The next running back is Kenneth Gainwell of the Philadelphia Eagles. So Kenneth Gainwell, he came back out of nowhere in this game. Boston Scott, he didn't do anything. He had the goose egg. And Gainwell had 17 touches in the Week 13 victory at the Jets. 12 carries, 54 yards a touch, and 5 catches, 33 yards. So right here, he's getting the job done, is Gainwell. The last few games, we've seen more of a workload for him. And now I know Philly goes on bye in Week 14, but coming out of the bye, Gainwell should be the passing downs back like he was. I know Miles Sanders tweaked the ankle in this one, but right here, he'll be back in my opinion, because after the game, we saw him walk off the field and celebrate during that Dallas Goedert interview. So right here, Kenneth Gainwell available widely right now in 88% of fantasy leagues, and he's definitely a running back I would give an answer to this week. And the fifth and final running back is another Tennessee Titan, D'Onta Foreman of the Tennessee Titans. So D'Onta Foreman, he's been pretty solid so far since they signed him off the street a few weeks ago. Week 10 versus New Orleans, 11 carries, 30 yards, 2 catches, 48 yards. Week 11 versus Houston, a little bit of a down game, but the game didn't go in the script it would for Foreman. 7 carries, 25 yards, a catch for 15 yards. And then week 12 in New England, 19 carries, 109 rushing yards, a catch for 3 yards, and a fumble loss. Obviously here, he's not going to catch the ball much. That's what they got Hilliard and McNichols for, but he's going to be a big running back in between the tackles. He's still in a pretty good offense, even though we know A.J. Brown and Julio Jones have been out. But maybe after the bye week here, we might see Julio in Week 14. But right now, Foreman's a big back. He's getting the carries. He's getting the workload. And there's no reason why he's available in 60% of fantasy leagues. So he's a running back I would get on the wire. So that's a few running backs I look to get on the waiver wire for Week 14 of the fantasy football season.